Welcome back to this week's episode of The Necessary Entrepreneur with Joel Willis, who's the founder and CEO of Channel 3, a gaming and social interaction platform that is news to me. It was awesome that Joel brought the world of gaming and online interaction and how it's just an entire new world that once you get into it, I think it's a little different than we put the stereotypes on. So that's exciting. But then we also talked about balance, one of my favorite subjects. So often people want to say, hey, find balance in life, and Joel's a big proponent of it. But we also talked about consistency versus intensity. The idea of it's easier to run 2 miles every day than try to knock out 10 all at once if you're not normally running. And then self-discipline is everything. So he's found a way to self-discipline his life, to take this approach of consistency versus intensity, and that's given him some balance later in life. He was also an editor and a provider of content on Scary Mommy, a very popular website, and then that transferred into The Dad, tremendous website where he also was a co-author of Dad Law. So many of my dad friends, they are going to benefit from owning this book. What an encyclopedia on how to be a dad, because all of y'all's kids do not come with the playbook. And then also he touches on content creation. So in his job working for Scary Mommy and The Dad, their entire game and business platform was built around social engagement. And so often what we want to do when we're out here engaging with social media on the platform of our business, we want to blame the algorithm. The algorithm didn't get me in front of people. Joel's argument is you need to put out consistent enough content, like every hour consistent enough content, and make sure it's valuable to the user. He talked about the essential part of support and the people around you on making the decision around the type of people you bring into your life and those important decisions in life. That helped him transition into becoming the CEO of Channel 3 and all the other opportunities with the content companies. And then also about manufacturing memories with gaming, the relationships he's been able to develop with his kids and how that'll be everlasting throughout his and their lives. And then make sure that we find positivity, but not an overused amount of toxic positivity. One of my favorite ones, because I think being positive is way better than being negative. You're going to find solutions quicker, and you're probably going to like the outcome a lot more. I hope you enjoy this episode with Joel Willis. And hey, if you want to support the episode, if you want to support our site, give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe, so we can continue putting the effort into bringing these types of interviews and conversations. Have an awesome week.
Did you wear the Channel 3 white hat to match the hair now?
Oh, coming out of the gate hot. I thought there was no gotchas here.
Oh, I didn't think it's a gotcha. It's just the truth, damn it.
I have gray hair, but I started getting gray hair the day my daughter was born. So it's like all downhill from there.
Is that just happenstance, or are you trying to say there was a correlation there?
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a correlation, right?
So thanks for stopping in, man. So Joel Willis, obviously the introduction was at the beginning of the podcast, but what you have going on today is you're the founder of Channel 3, I guess it's gaming, right? And so when I first started digging in, as Dave books all the guests and high level, like there's a lot of background you have. Education's important to you. You're a professor at Miami University in Ohio now as well.
Yep.
Have a history of being an editor-in-chief on a legit, impactful platform for followers, engagement, users, The Dad, but that even came from having a site about moms.
That's right.
Right, which is exciting. Yep. And so Channel 3 Gaming, when I pulled it up, I said, all right, here's Mark Perkins' layman reference to gaming. Pong.
Oh, man, way back.
Mario Kart.
All right.
And like Mario Brothers and Donkey Kong. So you're sitting here talking to a guy that has no clue about the world that you're in, and that, from my curiosity, level up, because everything I start seeing, I don't have anybody, nieces and nephews, and anybody in my world that's into gaming that I engage with on a consistent basis. But from what I understand is this is a career now.
Yeah.
And not just even the gaming part. You can make millions, these top gamers, playing games and winning.
Yeah, I mean that's what gets all the attention, because it's like a novelty, right? It's like, oh, that's cool. You can be a professional gamer, but
the back end on the development too.
Industry is massive.
All right, so let's go there. So what's on your mind right now? We'll get into why you started, but I heard Channel 3 Gaming. I'm like, oh, it's a rating and review site though, and an app.
It's a big part of it.
So that's fascinating to me. So what's on your mind with gaming in 2023?
Well, I'll just tell you this. You mentioned those really old games that I played too. I'm really old as well. But a lot has changed since then.
Okay.
A lot has changed. Gaming as an industry, as an entertainment medium, is gigantic. Like I could just make up statistics right now and people would believe them because it's that big. People say it's bigger than movies and sports combined and things like that, which I believe is true. But it is also the most social form of entertainment out there. And I think people take that for granted. It gets wrongly pigeonholed as being a socially isolating thing. It's like you're holed up in your house, grinding levels on some game and not talking to anyone. These days, you can do that, but it's not like that at all. It's very socially connective. It's this massive online world where you are using it to connect with friends, with family, with your kids, and even making brand new friends with internet strangers that are like-minded and share the same interests. So it's a very, very socially connective medium.
So we don't talk about it in the form of social media, but the way you're speaking to it is.
Yeah, it is a social media. Mm-hmm. So creating a social media platform for that form of entertainment makes so much sense to me. We'll talk about Channel 3 more, I'm sure, but
I want to hear about it.
It's wild. Like, how do we have a social media platform for office workers, LinkedIn, before we have one for gamers? It's crazy.
And so what do you think? I love that we're having the conversation because I'm not plugged into this at all. And what I believe is, I bet a good percentage of listeners, entrepreneurs, like you're in your world, you're in your bubble, you're probably thinking, how are you guys not? Yeah. And you're probably in what you're a professor, right, around as well at Miami. So you understand it, and the people you're around and the students that come in, you know it the way that we probably know, like playing a game of basketball or something, or picking up a chessboard. And so that's what hopefully you can connect for us today is the significance of what's happening.
That's right. I think gaming is massive. And it feels weird to say this, but the world of online social gaming, it's not mainstream enough. Like it's hard to say that, but like I'm an adjunct professor at Miami University. I teach esports broadcasting in their esports, majors.
So what is that?
Esports broadcasting is basically streaming, online live streaming of video games, or broadcasting esports events as well, and knowing how to cast and how to produce the events and all of that stuff. So when you think of professional gaming, when you think of making money off of gaming, people go to esports right away. They go to esports. It's a memorable term. It's a buzzword that people can remember. Esports. Esports is the tip of the iceberg. It is a big deal. That's true. But there's this huge other market of casual gamers. And even people who don't think of themselves as gamers, they're pulling up mobile games on their phone, or they're playing Mario Kart with their kids at night just to chill or whatever. They're gamers. And there's not a mainstream social network that appeals to them in a way that's accessible and not intimidating. Right.
And that, hence, is what Channel 3 is meant to be.
That's what Channel 3 is meant to be. That's right. Yep.
And so talk about the evolution of it, because you started it in June of 22. I'm sure the thought started a long time before that.
Yeah.
Right?
We should probably go back and do a full introduction of me and what led to this.
Okay, let's do it. Here we go.
I'm sure that you get this a lot, but entrepreneurs, they have this idea that they have to go after. It's like, this is what I'm meant to do, right? And maybe it's cognitive dissonance or whatever, but it's like it feels at the time like everything you've done until that point has led you to this.
Wasn't that the truth?
It's the truth, but it's like...
What's the context?
It's like I have these skills in social media and business and tech and now gaming. I need to do this. This is what I need to do.
So what's your thought on that, though, before we go back?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned somebody before we started, and she had an illustrious career, and everything built on the thing before it. Mm-hmm. That's the way to do it, right? It's like...
It's compounding,
right? Yeah, compounding, exactly.
Yeah.
Take what you did and build upon it. Yep.
If money doubles every 7 years, so does our education, the things we've learned, past experiences. It brings us to the place we are. So do you want to go back to previous 2017? Where do we start with Joel?
All right.
Do we start at 12? At 8? The womb?
We'll start at birth. I was born in Hamilton, Ohio. Cincinnati through and through. Yeah, Cincinnati through and through.
Is Hamilton Cincinnati? We have a different word for Hamilton around here.
Oh, yeah? Mm-hmm. I think I know what you're going to say.
Well, I don't know. We're sitting in Kentucky.
Hamiltucky.
I mean, I didn't say it.
Yeah. Well,
So it's a northern suburb of Cincinnati.
Hamilton was like a brew capital of the world back in the day. It was like it had the potential to be a very happening place in the 1800s. Whatever.
What happened then?
I don't know, man. Before my time. But I grew up in Hamilton. I grew up in Millville specifically. Do you know Millville?
I've heard of it, but I don't know it.
Okay.
No.
You know, if you're going out to Miami University on 27, and then you get to the light, and you have to take a left, and there's like a taxidermy shop and an adult bookstore and a gas station. That's Millville.
Okay, that's it.
That's right.
Wow, it's a really happening place, man. The 3 types of businesses you just named there, it's like that stuff's happening. Yeah.
Very rural. I went to Ross High School.
Yep.
And then I went to UC for undergrad, IT. And then right out of college, I started working at General Electric. So I was in their information management leadership program, and I spent 10 years leading data science and analytics programs for jet engine engineering. And it was great. I mean, I've never worked with so many amazingly smart people.
Engineers all over the place.
Yeah. Engineers all over, and just GE in general it's a great place to work.
But let me stop real quick. When you say been around a lot of smart people, when you say someone's smart, articulate that. When you say I've never been around so many smart people.
Yeah. It's problem solving. It's knowing how to get things done. It's, book smart, but also leadership smart. GE's like best in class and that sort of thing, right? Mm-hmm. The leadership program we were in, it was meant to teach 3 things: business acumen, leadership, and then tech skills. So there you go. Those things.
That's a tier. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. So 10 years there.
So it was great until it wasn't. And just towards the end, I kind of hated it.
What happened?
It's nothing against GE.
I think it happens. It's a decade of your life.
It's a long time. I think in corporate life, it's not for everybody. Some people thrive on it, and they absolutely love it. I'm almost jealous of that to a certain extent. But it wasn't for me. I kept pursuing ambitious goals, whether it's a big project or going to get my MBA at Xavier, and then having kids, and then there was no goal in sight. And I'm like, okay, so what's next? This can't be it, right? This can't be it.
That's a tough thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because what you said was some people thrive and they love it. But if that thought occurs to you, this can't be it.
Yeah.
It's going to cause problems.
Yeah. I mean, it's a position of privilege. I'll just acknowledge that, because it's like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where you have all your base needs met, and then you start thinking about things like, giving back to the community or creative fulfillment. That's a good spot to be in. So I feel weird complaining about it, right? But it's just like, I got to do something more creatively fulfilling. I got to get out of this, right? Mm-hmm. I would be sitting in a conference room in GE's North Point building at Union Center, and a conference room called like Productivity Excellence or something, right? And some meeting I didn't really care about, looking out the window, and there's like a cemetery beyond the parking lot.
That's an awesome day, man.
Yeah.
You're having that thought. You're in the meeting you don't want to be in with the name of the conference room, and you look out and there's a cemetery. And the cemetery is the most profound thing to you.
Yeah. It's like, is this it? Is this it? No, and it sounds really dark. It sounds depressing and discouraging. It's just me as an individual. I was just discontent. Like, I got to do something else. And I even fell into the career of IT just because it was sort of convenient, right? And made decent money and stuff. But at my heart, I love creating things. So I'm like, I got to scratch that itch and start doing that.
IT's kind of an engineering field. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem too creative. And I do like some of my IT folks that are around me, but you fall into a place as you start to rise, you start to climb the ladder. It's not too creative.
I mean, it can be. You are creating things. You are creating apps. You're creating, things that can be cool. But when you're in the corporate environment too, it's like you're filling out workflows and attending tollgate meetings and being told no all the time.
There's some walls around you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I got to do something else.
Yeah, and but that decade, the evolution that happened to you in those 10 years, how important was that?
Essential. I mean, essential. Like I have no regrets, none really. And when I was in the leadership program, I wanted to do my MBA. I'm like, well, you got to finish the leadership program first. And I talked to the guy who was running the program. I'm like, if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it because I'm about to have kids. So I was going to grad school at night, doing that leadership program. Halfway through, my daughter was born. I was teaching at UC.
How tough was all that?
It was just brutal.
Yeah.
But it hardened me to a certain type of work ethic that, continues to this day. After I finished all of that, I'd have free time and I'd be like bored, like, let's do some stuff.
So what's the word balance mean to you?
Oh, man. Well, balance is important. Balance is important. I say this all the time, but consistency, not intensity. So it's like getting a little bit done each day. That's a theme I always come back to. So balance is important. Mm-hmm. Balance is important, especially when you have kids.
I'm sure, right? Yeah. So I don't have any. So, but I talk to a lot of people who do, and I have nieces and nephews. I get to look at it from 10,000 feet. I've got all the answers.
Yeah. You can swing in and give them a candy bar and be a hero, and then
or say, don't give them the candy bar. That was a bad move, and then everybody looks back and say, stop telling me how to parent.
The unsolicited parenting advice. Everybody loves it,
right? It's awesome. So what was the final? Doesn't have to be a breaking point, but what was the final decision? So you have a family, right? You're a decade into a GE because you almost are at a place where you almost have the golden handcuffs wrapped around you.
Yeah.
Right? Almost. Retirement. What that looks like. Because if you stay there, sometime between 55 and 60, if you're at a GE or a P&G or a Kroger, if you do that, like your retirement life's going to kind of be easy if you can just stay there for 25 or 30 years.
Oh, man, there's a lot there. I became a bit of a personal finance nerd, so we'll talk about that too, because I think the golden handcuff scenario is a bit of you can get locked into a certain lifestyle when you're climbing the corporate ladder, and you get a 10% raise and you increase your standard of living 10%, right? And you continue to do that forever and ever, then you're stuck. So when I realized I wanted to do something else, I acknowledged that, and I went down this personal finance rabbit hole into this sort of niche world of extreme early retirement. And the definition of retirement there is a little different than you may be used to. But it involved basically living way below your means, saving and investing in order to purchase your own freedom at some point. Basically, retire, be able to pursue whatever professional life that you're passionate about rather than, just like laying around watching TV, whatever.
Do you feel like, we'll get right back, but do you feel like you've achieved that?
Thanks to my wife, because she's a boss, she's the best, and she's got a great job. So,
but it's a team. But
technically, no, I'm not like financially retired, but it definitely feels like that because I'm getting to do what I want to do rather than waking up in the morning and feeling like I'm forced to go do this thing that I don't really want to do because I have XYZ bills to pay, right?
That's when I talk about financial freedom, that's the part. Mm-hmm. Financial freedom doesn't also say wealthy.
Yeah.
Financial freedom means the handcuffs are off, and you've put yourself in a spot where you can make some decisions that a lot of other people feel like they can't.
Exactly.
Right? And so we go back, you're doing this deep dive on, personal financial independence or whatever we call it.
Yep.
What's so that causes some different type of thinking.
Yeah, and it's long-term thinking too, right? It's like you mentioned, like what's the breaking point? What's the moment? There's no one moment. It was definitely a lot of foresight to like, I want to make this happen. I'm going to make it happen year after year after year, planning for it. I told my wife, like, I can't do this job anymore I want to do something more creative. And she's like, well, you can't just quit. You need like a plan. So we came up with a 5-year corporate escape plan. And the financial stuff is part of that, but it's like, learn how to write content, learn how to create comedic content, get published, freelance, get a freelance job regular, and then, then make the transition.
So that's 5 years of intentionality.
Yeah.
Right.
5 years. Yep.
Every day.
Yep.
Every week.
Yeah.
Right?
Every day, for sure, for sure.
What'd that feel like as you're going through it? Did it feel freeing that you were in the midst of the process, that you knew you had a destination and a goal, or did it feel like a tough grind?
No, I mean, it was a lot of work, for sure, but it was fun because it was the thing that I wanted to do. It would feel like tough work and a grind if it was like, my 5-year goal is to be like a CPA or something. And every night I'm going to do a little bit of accounting. Because that would just be terrible. I would hate it. But no, I was like, writing funny jokes on Twitter, or like making memes and stuff. Like, no, it was great.
And having half the people hate you and half of them love you.
Yeah, maybe.
That's an old brand.
Yeah.
It's X now.
Oh, X, right. Yeah. Not Twitter. X.
So your first endeavor leaving GE, how's this? What happens?
Well, yeah, we'll skip a couple of steps there, but yeah, I was working the plan. I was writing content. I created basically an anonymous brand called the Glad Stork that nobody in my real life knew about, and I was basically writing jokes and making memes and web comics and all.
Just
this
like
stuff.
Satoshi, is that kind of the level of this?
Satoshi.
The Bitcoin guy that no one knows about.
I guess, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
So the Glad Stork.
Yeah, the Glad Stork, yeah. So I'm learning how to make content, right? And at first it's terrible, like just awful, not funny, just cringy type content. Got better, got a little better. Eventually I started getting, paid freelance opportunities. And that led me to Scary Mommy. The founder of the brand for moms called Scary Mommy reached out to me and asked me to write for them. I was like, sure. I did that for 2 years, freelance nights and weekends while I was working at GE, and then later 8451, Kroger's data science company. And nobody in my life really knew that I was doing that.
How much time were you contributing to that weekly for those 2 years?
Towards the end of that run, I was running Scary Mommy's Instagram. I was managing a team of other freelance writers. We were posting, 5 to 10 times a day. I was creating content. It was like an hour or two a day.
Okay, so you're talking 10 hours a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at that time, I was at 8451. I live way up north, so I was on a bus downtown, and I would do that on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How financially rewarding was that for Scary Mommy?
I think I've published this, so I think I can say it. When I was doing that, I was being paid, I think, $350 a week. So
$1,400 a month.
yeah, minimum wage.
That's a
basically.
side hustle,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
And I wasn't doing it for the money. This was the plan. This was like year 4 of the plan was to get a stable freelance job like that, like a regular thing. And then we were only like 2.5 years into it. So I was ahead of schedule. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
I was thrilled, and I loved it too. It was great.
So what's that look like jumping off the corporate bandwagon from 8451?
Yeah, so I'm at Scary Mommy. The parent company for Scary Mommy is called Some Spider Studios. The owner, a highly successful entrepreneur, sold his last company for like $500 million to Amazon. Amazing dude, really, really, really smart, driven. He said that they were wanting to start a dad brand, and would I be interested? Oh my God! Talk
You had
about
some experience,
right place at the right time.
right?
Yeah, it was golden.
How old are you at this moment? Is this 2017?
This was 2017. Yes.
Okay. You don't have to age yourself if you don't want. But.
Oh no, it's all good.
Okay.
I'd be 34.
Okay.
34. Yeah.
All right.
2 kids at the time. Yeah. I guess 8 and 5. They'd be 8 years old and 5 years old. So yeah.
So how does a Scary Mommy expert become a dad brand guy?
Oh, that's way easier for me. I was a dad, not a mom, so the scary mommy stuff was maybe the harder part.
Do you use a lot of reference points at home? Like you're going home, you're like, honey, you got to give me some insight on this.
No, it's more about the ability to write sharp content, right? It's not about that. I mean, we know what moms go through. We know what dads go through. Everybody kind of inherently knows that. So, and it's about the writers that I surrounded myself with at the time. But I'm on Scary Mommy, writing about like how great it feels to like get home at the end of the day and, take your bra off and wear sweatpants. It's like,
what an expert.
Yeah. Talk about feeling like a fraud.
Well, it must not have been too fraudulent because there was some success there.
Success. Yeah. It felt good. That was really fun times. So getting the transition from that to a dad brand was golden. So the summer leading up to making that transition, some spider, the bosses were feeling me out. Like, can this guy run a dad brand? I had like no real media experience other than the freelance stuff. And now I'm going to be like a media executive for this brand, like the one guy running it. So they'd asked me to, come up with a content vision, like write a 2-page content vision document. And if I had been 10 years younger, when I wrote that document, I would think like, well, what do they want it to be, right? And try to appeal to their interests. But no, I was like, this is my shot. I want this to be what I want it to be.
Right.
I'm going to do it exactly how I want. I'm going to write the brand that I want to exist.
A sense of ownership.
Yeah. Like this is what I want the dad to look like. And they loved it. So we started making plans, coming up with names, acquiring domain names and handles, and forming the team of freelancers, all that stuff. And then later that year we did it.
Well, did it feel like an entrepreneurial venture, even though you didn't own it?
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't ask for a better situation. I'm forever grateful for the opportunity, but it was the best of both worlds for me at the time because I had creative freedom because my bosses were amazing. My team was amazing. It was great. It felt entrepreneurial in that sense without any of the risk because I was a salaried employee.
Yeah, that's the right
That's
term. You said entrepreneurial because that's exactly what it is. Yeah. And I tell people so often, like, hey, find that opportunity. If you can find that opportunity, that's the best opportunity before being a full-blown entrepreneur.
That's right. You can even do it in a big company like GE. They can have entrepreneurial opportunities as well.
We call them entrepreneurs now.
Oh yeah.
Right? You haven't used that term as the adjunct professor.
I mean, I don't use it, but they were using that when I was at GE.
Trying to sell you on it.
It was the Lean Startup, that book, and they're all fail fast.
Was that Jack Welch?
No.
The old, I don't know if, he came up with, where's Six Sigma come from? Is that a Toyota thing?
Toyota or Honda.
And then he took some things from there, I think.
Oh, my gosh, Six Sigma through and through.
Yeah.
I don't want to intimidate you, but I am a green belt certified Six Sigma.
So tell us what green belt. We know what black belt in our brains are and white tip black belt, but what's green belt Six Sigma?
When I was at GE, everybody had to do a green belt Six Sigma project. You basically completed a project that went through the stages of Six Sigma, which are DMAIC. God, they brainwashed me so well that I still remember that. DMAIC. Define, measure, analyze, improve, control. And you would take a project, you'd identify it yourself, and you would go through all of those stages of the Six Sigma process, and you would improve a process, and you would present your results at each of these stages to Six Sigma black belts, and you would get certified.
Was that a part of the leadership program there?
No.
Okay.
Every employee had to do it.
Looking back, was that good?
Oh, my gosh, yeah. I believe in Six Sigma. I think it's a good thing.
It's just process improvement, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's efficiency. Correct, or is that wrong?
That's right. It's efficiency and it's quality control. I think that there's a misconception about things like data science and analytics and rigidity and structure and all that stuff that it can't exist with a creative mindset. I think you gotta have both. You gotta have both. If you don't, you have a lazy person who thinks that they're creative who never gets anything done. Or you have a rigidly a strict process person who has no creativity and can't think outside the box. So, I mean, I think you need both.
So when you were building your 2-pager to lay out, hey, what's the content vision?
Yeah.
Did you rely, you think, maybe even not intentionally, but do you think your brain relied on those processes when you were building this?
For sure. There's a portion of that doc that's like, what do we want our content to make people feel? And I was literally defining by percentages. 70% of the time we want them to laugh. 10% of the time we want them to be overwhelmed with emotion and like feel like they're going to cry in sentiment, right? So, I mean, who does that? Who lays out?
A green belt 6 Sigma guy. That's who does.
I take everything very seriously, including comedy. So it's
right?
Yeah.
Even the dad jokes.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, for sure. It's all data driven. So,
I mean,
it was a very data driven or data informed mentality going into content creation, which is a very creative process.
So when they were privy to your presentation, I'm sure the 2-page paper or whatever it was a couple days, I'm sure it ended in a presentation to them.
Mm-hmm.
Were they jumping up and down with the pom-poms and like, yeah, let's go, this is it? Or they say, we'll get back to you?
So my boss was the chief operating officer, and he was the former head of digital for the New York Times. So he had a ton of media experience. He'd been through this before. They told me to come up with 2 pages. I did, but then I had like all this other stuff at the end in an appendix because I got so excited when I was doing it. I'm like, oh, it was great. And I sent it to him. He said it was one of the best content visions he's ever seen. And that was such a confidence boost. Generally, this guy is super positive and a great dude. His name's Paul Smurl. But yeah, he was kind of like pom-poms. Felt good.
So then what did it take then if it's one of the best plans he's seen? What did it look like implementing and executing?
Yeah, I mean, in that plan, it lays out how much content we're going to produce each week, each day, post every hour on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter.
So you're running a media calendar.
Yeah,
right?
that's
a
part
social
of
media
it.
calendar.
Mm-hmm. That's part of it. That's part of it. It's the media calendar and then the generation of the content as well. So it's like, how do we execute on that? So
there's deep stuff there. I saw that look, and you looked off to the side. It's like there's a lot there. We don't have time for all the context, but there's a lot there, right?
It's harder than it looks.
Yeah.
You guys know.
Yeah.
You guys know.
We're starting to execute better.
You create content, it's hard.
Yep. What's hard about it? If we make just that big statement, it's hard.
Sure.
What's hard about it?
It's not a commodity. That's what I'll say. People see a meme and they're like, "Oh, that's silly. That's dumb. Like anybody can do that." We could crank out 20 of them right now. No, it's not a commodity. It takes a special sort of skill set to be able to think in that way and create it.
I agree.
We're talking about memes. It sounds so ridiculous, but for real. If you think you can do it and you haven't done it before and you post it, it's gonna bomb and you're gonna be like, oh, it's the algorithm, or oh, it's this, or oh, it's that. No, it's the content.
What makes good content?
Magic.
How do we create magic?
You got to put in the work. I think you got to put in the work.
So to
figure out what works, figure out what doesn't. I mean, certain people are content creators and certain people aren't. But even if you are, you have to put in the work and find out what works. Try, fail, scrap what doesn't work. Constantly iterate and get better and better.
So you're saying the argument is the best sorcerers in the world, for them to learn their magic at that level, they had to start out as the little person waving the little wooden wand.
I completely feel that way so much. When we would hire people within some Spider, within the DAD or any other of the brands, I felt like the best thing in the world is if somebody had their own personal brand with over 10,000 followers, they put in the work. They know what it takes. They failed a ton. And they have that refined sense of content that is necessary.
So you guys, you built, I think it's the DAD, you built that to, is that 15 million followers across all platforms? I mean, what's the engagement? Those are big numbers.
Yeah, across all platforms, 15 million across all platforms. I mean, I'm a firm believer in some of these stats can be inflated and manipulated, and how many of those are bots and so on and so forth. So the better measure is engagement. Engagement is off the charts for the dad. It has been since we started. That's the true measure of content success in terms of reach, in terms of likes and shares and
it's
comments
all that.
and all that stuff.
Yep.
It's all of that.
So a like, a comment, a share, all of it.
Yep.
That's engagement.
Yep, that's engagement.
Did
It
you
just
put-
won Most Engaged Community Award from some big media publication this year.
How'd you feel about that? Because you were there until June of 22.
Freaking love it. It's
Yeah.
the best thing.
Yeah.
I want it to continue to thrive and thrive. Spoiler alert, I'm not at the dad anymore, but the crew that's leading it up, they are scrappy, and they're the best. They're the best in the biz.
What's scrappy? What is that? What is that in the world of content?
Sure. I mean, I guess analytically, if you take any engaged media brand and you break down like how many full-time employees per million engagements or whatever, well, let's just take that metric, the dad would be like unprecedented in terms of how low that ratio is. There's 3 full-time people working on the dad editorial team right now, and all 3 of them are amazing.
So why is that? Why are the numbers so big? Can we break it down in 30 seconds, like just without, like why?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's appealing to a certain affinity. You know, it's number one, reaching an audience in a way that other brands aren't reaching them, in a way that feels extremely authentic. It's like, wow, you get it. You get it. We're on the same page here. But then also, it can't just be that. It's also got to be content that's so good that you don't have to be a dad to appreciate it. Those two things.
So not a user of the product, but you're still like, wow, the thing's good. Right?
100%.
So you might not drive a BMW, but you respect the fact that it's the ultimate driving machine.
Yeah, I mean, me and my friends, we created this thing together, so I wanted to keep going forever and ever. And I still do some work with the dad. We just had a book come out this year called Dad Law. I brought you a copy.
Thank you. It's red,
Brought you a
correct?
copy. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Is it a hardback?
It is.
So is this co-authored? Is it authored? Is it what is this?
It is co-authored by myself and Allie Probst. She was the deputy editor for The Dad for years while I was there. She's not there anymore either, but she's an idea machine. She is the queen of the dads.
So I want to talk about what it's like to write a book, but I'm going to make a quick. Here's what this feels like to me. This isn't making any indication of things I believe or don't believe or who I agree with, but this kind of feels like a Bible. So is this like a Bible to being a dad?
You could say that, yeah. It's more like a constitution or something.
Yeah, because it's got the spine like it too. This is an encyclopedia off the shelf, right? This is something that would be in a library from 1500.
Yeah, it's got gold foil imprinted, embossed lettering. That's right.
What's this cost if we buy it? Where would we buy it? Because see, are you an Amazon guy, or are you proud it wouldn't be on Amazon?
Oh no, it's cool. Amazon's cool.
Yeah.
Go to dadlawbook.com.
Okay.
And you can get all the links you want. Buy it from Amazon if you want. That's cool.
Is it on Audible? Did anybody record it as well?
No, not that I know of.
Come on, man. This voice of yours, you should be on Audible. You should be talking about it.
Oh, I would love that.
So
I've had requests for that. That would be amazing. But no, it's very Bible-like. It's constitution-like. We envisioned when we wrote this of having new dads be sworn in upon the dad law.
do you have to
Exactly.
put your hand on the
Yeah,
dad Bible?
raise your
So here's
right
what it says. It says, finally, the unwritten rules of dadhood have been written. All right, that's solid. What is this the first book that you've written, co-written?
No.
Oh,
No. So we could talk about the dad for
but
days. Yeah. Allie and I, specifically Allie, she wanted to write a book. We had some ideas for some really cool original books that we wanted to make. We went to the Some Spider bosses and said, let's get out there and get like a publishing deal, all this stuff. And they said, how about you start small? So we created something called The Dad Book, and it was basically a collection of just well-designed memes. It's a great gift for new dads and stuff. But it was repurposing existing content, right? It's a lot of work. It's really hard. We did that. We self-published. It sold really well. And then we did a couple of others. We did a children's book called D is for Dad. And we did The Dad Law.
I'm assuming this has sold quite a few copies.
So The Dad Law, when we self-published it, sold quite a bit of copies, yes. And then we wanted to get it traditionally published. We landed a deal with Chronicle Books. They are the publisher of this book. So it has been formally published this year under Chronicle for the first time. So this thing is in physical bookstores now, and it thrills me to no end.
How's that feel the first time you went in and saw it? How that?
I have not seen it in a physical bookstore.
You haven't?
I have.
You haven't like taken a trip with the kids and the wife, like we're going to find it today.
I haven't gone out of my way to do it.
What?
Startup life, man. I'm too busy in my coding cave. Time is limited. I haven't hit up a bookstore to look for my.
You don't have
own
that
book.
friend or that family member that's like, "Hey, we found it. We're here."
I have seen that.
Okay,
yeah.
that's
I've
solid.
I've seen photos. I haven't seen it in person.
Okay.
No.
But
No,
you
I'm quite
but-
busy.
But you're confident. You have faith that they're being honest with you that it's in physical bookstores.
I'm being told that it's in the bookstores.
So what's the process of writing this book with brand new content?
Yeah.
What's that like? So when somebody thinks they're going to write a book, this is what they think about.
Yeah. This book is a gift item. It's a novelty. It's not like a novel. So it's a collection of dadisms, basically, and it's very structured. It's like when you're driving and you see horses, dads are required to say, "Oh, look, horses." They're like, when you see a busy part of town, you say, "I remember when this used to all be fields," like that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's a collection of all of those. So the process of writing this book was a brainstorming exercise between Allie and I of just like writing down every dadism known to man, right? So that's how this one went. I've also written a novel, a dark comedy novel about office life. So, it's not published. It's just sitting in a draft on my computer. It's not very good.
Is this inspired by your experience and the show The Office?
It's like Office Space mixed with like Lost. It's very kind of
Joel,
weird and dark.
I mean, that sounds... I don't know what it sounds like. I'm not going to say your book that's going to be out. It'll probably sell millions of copies, but that sounds dark.
You got to read it. Yeah, you got to read it for like first chapter. There's this guy and he hates buzzwords. He hates, all the corporate speak and all that stuff.
Would he like the word viral now?
Yeah, right.
It goes viral.
Right.
He'd hate that,
Yeah,
right?
He would hate it. Or
Yeah.
synergy or like, let's tee that up. Let's circle back around. And
Okay, I
blah,
hate
blah,
that too.
blah. Right.
Yes.
But then he notices one day that he finds that he can't speak in anything but buzzwords. And then that plays out, and like his daughter goes through some she finds out she's pregnant and he's really upset and trying to comfort her and all this stuff. And he says, "Oh, this is going to be a fantastic growth opportunity for you to get out of your comfort zone."
Did you write this in a dungeon 2 depths below your basement of your house?
I wrote it evenings after coming home from my corporate job.
There it is. Do you think that's indicative of a corporate experience that people just don't want to talk about?
The buzzword thing?
No, I think about you wrote that book after you came home from that environment.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice release. I think I encourage people to do that. You need to have your own thing. You need to have your own creative outlet outside of your corporate job, whether you like it or not. Yeah, I knew people at GE who wrote fiction. Mm-hmm. People didn't know about it, and like, good for you. It's good.
Yeah,
you need that outlet.
Do you feel that there's a lot of people that feel trapped, regardless of the company? Let's just call it a corporate environment. Do they feel trapped, or you think, are there a lot of people, like you said in the beginning, that embrace it and truly enjoy it? Do we trick ourselves? Can we make definitive statements like this? You're like, Mark, it's just all over the place.
I don't know. What do you think? Like, if you were to ask 100 people, do you love your job? How many of 100 do you think would say yes?
Maybe 10.
That's pretty good. I think I would say like 5.
We're not too far off. There's a standard deviation there.
Very low, but what's up with that? Why? Like,
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think it does indicate that they feel a little trapped,
unfulfilled, not creative, contained within what the management and the system wants you to do.
Yeah.
Just do it our way and work our system. And I'm not saying that's not a way to profitability, because if you're going to be for profit, you got to make some money.
That's right.
Right? And unfortunately, as human beings at times, we do need people to bring us back to center and focus and get us wrapped around an idea as a team. And
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I mean, I got to come back to like sometimes you have to work jobs you don't like.
Yeah. I mean, you did. You worked 5 years.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I had a job as a telemarketer. My first job was at McDonald's. I worked in a paper mill. I was a roofer for a summer. Like, you got to go through those things to be able to appreciate the founding a gaming company.
Right.
So,
but do you think it's important maybe to go through those to realize what you don't want?
Mm-hmm. That's right, and to build your way up to be able to have the opportunity to do something more fulfilling.
So you're trying to make an argument at 40 years old or whatever it was that it's time to now dive in the deep end without your swimmies on and say, we're going to try to swim.
That's right. Yep. 34. Yeah. Yep. Leaving 8451 to go start the dad. And people in my real life, like, but how are you going to make money? They're like scared for me, you know. I didn't have any doubts because of my experience at Scary Mommy and how good they were and the bosses at Some Spider. But the dad exceeded my expectations. It went really well.
What was the support at home like when it was time to take the leap and go work for Scary Spider and do this full time?
Scary Spider, I love that. Unprecedented. My wife is the best. She's so great. Her name's Laura. She supported me completely. I mean, when I say people didn't know in my real life that I was, putting in all these hours for Scary Mommy and nights and weekends and stuff, I mean, obviously she did. So she knew how hard that I had worked to be able to have that opportunity. So she was 100%, all in. And to the point of being like mocked in content or like, featured in memes and stuff. And she may not have loved that, but I think she's okay with it.
It's probably the same thing as being married to a stand-up comedian. Probably the things that happen.
Right.
You're like, did you really have to invoke me in that joke? Yeah, I had to.
Yeah.
It had to happen.
Yeah. There's a meme where it's like we were going to her parents' house for Christmas and she wanted to get all dressed up. And she really wanted me to wear a vest. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Whatever. I'll wear a vest. I don't care. But for the picture, she's smiling and I just look straight ahead like really upset. And then I captioned it for a meme. Like, my wife wanted me to wear a vest, but I'm not a vest guy. So we compromised and I wore a vest. And then just focuses in on my face.
So good. That got a lot of engagement.
It got a lot of engagement. And
were there guys just on there saying, yes, somebody's speaking for us?
I mean,
and the wives are like, finally, they're doing what I told them to.
Social media, it's a hellscape. It's the worst. The guys are on there like, how about you grow a pair and just wear what you want to wear and all this crap. I'm like, dude, it's a joke.
Ever heard of one?
Also chill. But I was happy to wear the vest. I didn't really care. So it was kind of a lie, right? And then this is everywhere on the internet, and she has people at her work coming up to her like, you made him wear a vest. She's like, he didn't care.
And you're like, did you really have to do it? Is that the question? So you had support at the highest level possible through this journey and making these decisions. Have you thought quietly to yourself if that support wouldn't have been there?
Yeah. Yeah. That changes everything, right? First of all, my wife and I, we make good decisions, I think, generally. But the biggest decision you can make in life is who you marry. And we chose really well. We talk to our kids about that all the time. Like, you could so easily choose wrong and it would change your whole life. Your whole life. So, yeah, it would be a lot different. But she's great. There's never been a question.
So let's go philosophical. I'm going to jump off, then we can come back. But at the expense of pissing some people off and thinking we're condescending and, that Joel's just smarter at making decisions than others. What advice would you give to your best friend who comes to you and says, and you feel the indication like, oh, they married the wrong person? What's that person do? You wake up at 30 and you're like, I married the wrong person. What do you do?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, no, I'm serious, because if you're teaching your kids, and I agree with you that the person that you decide to spend most of the time in your life with, it could be somebody that decides to be single and celibate their whole life, but that best friend, that person that impacts you the most, that's your biggest social support, they're either going to level down to you or vice versa, or the person that's lower is going to level up. But the person that's trying to go somewhere in life, and for whatever reason their number's higher in some of these characteristics, they're probably not going to go any higher.
Yeah.
So what about that? What do you do?
That would be tough for me to say. I think every individual is different, right? First of all, I mean, a relationship is work. So it's entirely possible that that person who's like, oh, I married the wrong person.
Might be them. Huh?
Might be true. Yeah, it might be them. Maybe they're not putting in the work, So it wouldn't really be, I don't think, my place to
No, but
to
your
chime in on that.
your best friend, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying your best friend that you really care about.
Yeah.
Because I think the advice I would give is like, hey, do some self-reflection first.
Yeah. Yeah, self-reflection.
That's what I'd say. Figure out that you're fixing all of your things first.
Yeah. Well, I'm already married to my best friend, Mark. Aw.
So he's not going to go there. I tried to get you to
So
dip
if
your
she
toe in.
came to me and she was like, I married the wrong person, I'd be like, oh no.
I'm screwed because this is my best friend too.
Twist.
But you're teaching your kids and you're talking to them, hey, be very intentional and pay attention to the person that you're going to be with.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the advice.
Yeah,
you don't want to go
that's
any
right.
deeper, but that's the advice.
Yep, that's right. I mean, it's not even just marriage. It's who you surround yourself with.
Friends,
Yep.
co-workers, people that you hire for your business,
Oh, yeah.
partners in businesses. Ooh,
Yep.
that's like a marriage, isn't it?
Yep. All of those things, and also people you read, all those things that all influence who you are as a person.
What do you find yourself? You were an adjunct professor at UC, and then now you are at Miami. What do you find yourself talking to these gamers and people getting all of these 3-hour credits in gaming? What do you find yourself talking to them more about, specifically the thing they thought they were coming to class to learn, or other stuff?
Oh, man, well, we'll have to get into gaming for that. But at UC, I was teaching web development, so it was different. But at Miami, I'm teaching esports broadcasting, which is basically streaming on Twitch. And I think a lot of people want to become Twitch streamers, and they think, I'm going to just go live and I'll have a bunch of people watching me and I'll make money on ads or whatever. Not the case. Going live on Twitch is the easy part. You can stream for 3 hours. Nobody is going to watch you unless you build a brand. So I talk about building a brand. I talk about content. I talk about how it's way more impactful to spend 3 hours editing a 30-second video clip than it is streaming for 3 hours live.
Does it seem weird to you that me and a lot of other people out here think it's wildly insane that I would log on, create an account on Twitch, log on, play video games, and actually hope people are going to tune in and watch me play?
Yeah, I mean,
to me, that,
yeah.
from the layman, it's like, that's insane.
Well, it's like anything else. Well, first of all, Twitch isn't just gaming. Gaming is a big part of it. There are lots of other things on Twitch. But I tell the students there are various types of successful streamers. There are people who are extremely good at a game, and people watch because they're the best in the world and they want to witness greatness, right? That's kind of like watching professional sports, right? There are people that are hilarious, and you're tuning in because they're an entertainer and they're funny or interesting or whatever, right? And then there are participatory streamers who are hosting events that you can play in. And we do a lot of that on Channel 3, so you're not watching just to watch. You're watching because those people are casting your gameplay, which is awesome.
It's a new form of entertainment.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So I think we're close enough to this idea of creating Channel 3.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So the dad, about halfway through the dad, I hadn't played video games since I was in high school or middle school.
Not Pong, not that far
Yeah,
back.
not that far back. It's more like GoldenEye.
Oh, okay.
Play GoldenEye, yeah.
Not Street Fighter, not Street Fighter.
Street Fighter 2 Turbo, yeah. Chun-Li. Yeah.
So GoldenEye.
So about halfway through the dad, I bought my kids in quotations, a Nintendo Switch. Really, it was for me. But I was trying to buy them a video game system so we could make memories together. I was manufacturing memories, which never goes well for a parent. But in this case, it went super well. It was great. We played Zelda Breath of the Wild together. They'll remember that their whole life. I guarantee it. It was great. Then I started playing Fortnite with my son and just getting dominated in public lobbies by these like teenagers calling me trash and stuff. And I'm like, God, there's got to be a way where we can do this, but just with the dad audience, right? And you can. We applied for custom lobby ability. We got approved. We started running Fortnite events. We started running a Mario Kart League. We started running Rocket League tournaments with the dad community. It was called The Dad Gaming, which still exists to this day. We landed marquee sponsorships like Planters. They sponsored 5 tournaments with content that went with it, $500,000 for that deal. And then we proceeded to run it with Google Forms and Facebook groups and Twitter and Instagram and Twitch and Discord servers and all of these things. And then for the brackets, we use like Challenge and StartG. These are gaming platforms. Like, this is insane. There has to be a better way to do this. A lot of people don't participate in tournaments like that because it feels so intimidating. It's not accessible. So when I left the dad last year, I wanted to create the thing that I wish existed at the time, and I was stunned didn't exist at the time. And that's Channel 3.
Which is?
Channel 3. Channel 3 is the social network for gamers. Channel 3 is a social network for gamers, so you can jump onto Channel 3 and you can post content about gaming, like what would be a tweet or a meme or news or clips or articles or whatever you want to post. That's table stakes when it comes to social media, right? But then everything is optimized for gaming. So there's these other components that no other social platform like that would offer. Number one, you can rate and review games. So it's like Goodreads for books or Letterboxd for movies, but Channel 3 for video games. So you can rate and review and classify all the games that you're playing, your favorite games of all time, all that stuff. And as you do that, the platform is personalized for your gaming preferences. So if you rate Pong 5 out of 5 stars,
I totally would. Okay.
then you're just going to see all kinds of Pong content.
The algorithm's working, huh?
You probably won't get any Pong content. I don't know.
But maybe some Mario Kart. I don't know. Maybe.
You get Mario Kart.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's rate. And then there's also Squad Up. So you can like find your next gaming friends on there. You can join gaming clubs and communities on there. And then finally you can play. So you can participate, in an event or a tournament, or you can do like an offline quest, which is basically a challenge that you can do on your own time, upload your screenshot, and see how you do against your friends. So it's like beat level 1 in Pong with the highest score possible. I don't know.
2.
3. And then you upload that and you see how you do against your friends. So, and everything is gamified. So you're getting XP for all these things and you're leveling up, and it's basically like its own little competition within itself.
This sounds like a connection with like VaynerMedia and those guys.
Yeah.
Because he represents Planters.
Vayner does?
Yeah, they do now. They did.
Really?
Yeah. So maybe it was after that, but Gary V's into some e-gaming and
Yeah, sure.
big time, right?
Sure.
Into Discord, all the stuff. He's there.
Towards the end of the dad days for me, my boss, I mentioned Paul, he left for another opportunity, and I got a new boss. Her name is Mary Kate McGrath, and she works for Gary Vaynerchuk.
What do you know?
She's the chief brand officer for Gallery Media Group.
Okay.
I think that's her role. I don't know.
Isn't that funny how things just connect? And I'm not in your world, but I heard a couple indicators there, and it's like, I bet these are connected in some way, somehow.
Yeah. I haven't spoken to Gary about this or anything.
right?
But yeah,
Someday, someday you may.
yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about, so you're now 13, 14 months in to Channel 3?
I love it so much. It's the best job I've ever had. It's fantastic. Everything about it is good, except that I'm not making any money. That's how these things go. I don't have a paycheck anymore. Maybe it'll come eventually. But I don't, it doesn't matter. It's the greatest, being able to be your own boss and create the thing that I want to exist without having to go through approvals. And the community that's developing around Channel 3 is small because we're not doing any paid marketing yet, but it is so positive and engaged. I haven't seen anything like it. It's fantastic.
So you said paid marketing yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the goal for Channel 3, this thing should be like Discord big, Twitch big. It should be along those lines. I'm never shied away from that. That is the goal. To have something like that start from just one guy developing everything behind the scenes to being like that, and then it be in Cincinnati, that's the dream. That's what I want to happen. And I think it could. So paid marketing, sure, will probably be needed at some point. Right now we are in the foundational phase. Eventually we will be in the scale phase in a big way.
Will you bring VC in?
Potentially. I haven't actively avoided it to date, but kind of avoided it so far, just as we kind of prove this thing out. But eventually, maybe
scale,
bring in VC in.
Yeah.
I think ideal investment model for something like Channel 3 is actually sort of a celebrity influencer athlete style investment pool with preferred shares, whatever the case may be, but ownership for somebody who's very knowledgeable in the gaming space, but also has that built-in following and cool factor and stuff that I feel like Channel 3 can achieve.
Like someone we just invoked, but there's other people that fall into line there.
Yeah, sure. So like, if Joe Burrow's listening, like just hit me up. I think he plays Rocket League. I think
he's gonna have a little bit of time right now while some rehab happens with a little calf injury there.
He's queuing up for Rocket League. He is. I hereby challenge Joey B to one-on-one in Rocket League.
He'll probably know what it is. He's probably got. I bet he has a little bit of video game experience.
I heard he plays Rocket League actually. I think he's mentioned Pokemon at some point, but
yeah. So has this entrepreneurial venture of these 16 months? I'd like to go down this path because has the outcome of the 16 months, did it look like the business plan? Has it worked out to plan?
It's a great question. Pretty much. It's gone slower than I would have hoped. It's taken longer than I would have hoped. But it's gone better than I imagined. If that makes sense. Like I was thinking at this point we could have many more users than we currently have. But the users that we have are just off the charts engaged, and the features are working together beautifully. Where I'm like, yeah, this is something. It feels special.
So how do you make sure? So we use this thing called Google, and there's a Safari, which is Apple's version, right? And then you have, what's the newest version of Microsoft's? Bing? Is it still Bing, or is it a new iteration of it? Edge, okay. Mm-hmm. So those are the three biggest search engines in our mind. But there's other search engines. Facebook's a search engine. They're all search engines, right? And you plug some
search, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but there are hundreds and hundreds of other search engines that could have become Google as well, but didn't. I don't know all the reasons specifically why they didn't and Google became Google with those two guys.
Yeah.
But you're talking about becoming Google.
For gaming.
Yes.
Sure.
Do you know how you ensure that happens?
I mean, I don't know. What if I had to say, like, what's the percentage of that happening right now? 30%? I don't know.
That's pretty good odds.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty good odds.
Maybe it's naive. Maybe it's too confident. But I think in order to make it happen, Channel 3 will need to have a certain magic to it that the others don't. There are a lot of competitors in this space trying to do a social network for gamers, but they're just not they're off the beaten path in a non-mainstream way. A lot of them are trying to do Web3 kind of stuff or NFTs, or they want to make it about gambling for some reason, which just feels odd. I don't think that's going to be the mainstream solution. Then there's other ones that are just hyper focused on clips only. It's only video. I don't think that's going to be the mainstream solution just because it doesn't integrate everything. I think if Channel 3 is going to be successful, it's got to do all of those things well in a way that integrates with a sense of magic in terms of community. It's got to be all about community. It's got to be all about community.
Do you want me to use a positive term versus being the sorcerer? Is there a positive magician? Because I'm going to go down this path of, do you feel like you're at that level? You're just working on the potion?
Working on the kettle, I guess, or the cauldron.
The cauldron's got stuff boiling up, right? You're standing over it. It's like, what's going to make it?
This metaphor is going off the rails.
Yeah, but what's going to make it hit?
Mm-hmm. I think being community first is a very important thing. So when I talked about those different areas, rate, squad up, and play, squad up, gaming clubs, everything has to be club-centric, right? Within Channel 3, I'm saying. So right now, it's like, hey, come join Channel 3. And I encourage everybody to do so. Go to channel3.gg, join, and post. But it's way better if you join Channel 3 to be part of a specific club or community.
Why?
Because your people, you're bringing your people are already there, and you can interact with them. It's not just strangers.
People that play together stay together.
That's right.
Is that where we're going here?
That's good.
Okay.
It's a good tagline. I'll use
Yeah.
it. But like I'm in talks with the city of Cincinnati, CRC, and the Cincinnati Fear, which is a professional esports team in Cincinnati, if you didn't know.
I didn't know that.
Cincinnati Fear, great name, for hosting esports leagues in Cincinnati with Cincinnati Public Schools. And it's possible that we will use Channel 3 to run those leagues. So basically, the Cincinnati Public School kids would come in and they would use Channel 3 for their tournament management system, but they would be part of that gaming club and community that's already built in for them. And that's magic. That's stickiness.
So what's awesome now is you don't have to have the servers. You just buy that time in a server center, right?
Yeah.
I mean, right? Is that it? It takes
yeah.
a lot of bandwidth, though, to do what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm with AWS, so I'm currently hosted on AWS. We have scalable server infrastructure and all that stuff, yeah.
It can get really expensive running something like you're talking about.
It already is. I mean, transparent. I'm nothing if not transparent. My hosting bills are currently $350 a month, and we're relatively small. Mm-hmm. But the site's super fast.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What do you think how far do you have this planned out? The business plan, how far out was it?
I think it's anywhere from 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years, yeah.
Which will completely change.
Yeah.
From my experience.
It's wild being like the one person doing it, right? Because you have to be so strategic, but then also be extremely tactical. I mean, so we can talk business plan and what it's going to look like 5 years from now. But like this morning, I spent 2 hours coding to shave a fraction of a second on the load time on the homepage, right? And it's like, and tonight I'll be, helping to run a Fortnite event. And next week I'm going to Cancun for a gaming event for influencers. It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah, this seems like it's an okay gig to not be getting paid. I'm just saying. Huh? I don't know. Now I realize, I shouldn't have bought the whole hook, line, and sinker thing of not getting paid.
Dude, I'm not complaining.
Right?
It's the best.
What's retirement look like? Way back in the day, you said you went down this path of really early retirement, right? Financial intelligence. Is that even a thing? Are you going to be gaming at 89 years old in your massaging recliner that you have to hit the button to get you up, but you're like, honey, I got to code a piece of, we got to cut a millisecond off of it. There's 100,000 people waiting on me.
Be coding in my 80s. I don't know.
What do you think that looks like, though, as this world continues to evolve?
Yeah. I mean, everybody's got, people naturally want to work. I think that's true.
Is it?
Work looks different to different people.
Okay. All right, I'm just going to leave that one
Even
alone.
if they don't know that they want to work, it's
okay.
Completely
intrinsic.
Yes, intrinsic, satisfying, fulfilling. purposeful, all of those things. So I feel retired today, and I've never worked harder in my life. So take that for what it's worth.
Feelings are so important, man.
Yeah.
You know, feelings and emotions drive so many of our decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they didn't. I wish it was all fact-based.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
What the rest of 2023 as your life moves on, what do you think these last 5 months of the year?
Yeah.
Because you know how it goes by like this, the first 7 months did.
So in Channel 3, we have seasons that run 3 months, and they're quarters, basically. So July 1st, Season 5 started. October 1st, Season 6 starts. So here in a few weeks, I'll start planning for Season 6, developing all the new features and unlockable stuff for that, and we'll crank that out, and then we'll prep for Season 7.
Being a user, what's that mean to me? Like I use this in reference to, Yellowstone is out for Season 3 or 4 on Paramount.
Yeah.
I'm going to tune. Is it similar? The mindset similar?
Yeah, it's similar. If anybody listening's a gamer, it's like a battle pass model, like for Fortnite. But yeah, seasons run 3 months. Your XP, which is like your level, your score, resets to 0 at the beginning of the season, and you start earning more XP. And there's an XP leaderboard for the season of who's winning, right? Winning. And every 1,000 XP, you unlock something. And it could be a reaction GIF. It could be like a new background for the website, a tagline that goes next to your name. Every new season, there's brand new unlockable things that you can get. But I also try to make each new season like a big release, like an operating system release, like one from like Windows 7 to Windows 8 or whatever. So I hold off features during that last month, and I code for a month straight and try to create like the coolest, splashiest thing I can for October 1st. When you log in, everything's different.
So you're a very smart guy. You are, because what you just talked about is you're plugging into our incentive-based minds.
Yep. That's gamification. That's right. And gamers are built for it.
I think humans are, man.
Yeah. I
Humans
think
are.
that's true, yeah.
Casinos know this.
Yeah.
People, they know this. Airline miles know this. Credit cards that are attached to getting points know this.
Yep.
I know it. Like on my Home Depot card, they're always giving me updates. You're $2,200 away from the next upgrade that gets you this. And it shows up, and that feeds some endorphin or something in our head.
Yeah, you get that dopamine rush for sure.
Because I know it does affect us. Then if I'm thinking about buying appliances,
Mm-hmm.
and I can buy them from Lowe's or Home Depot or Best Buy, that affects our decisions.
Yeah. In an incentive-based way there, because you're getting incentive for doing it. This is just like, it really is for fun. It does encourage certain types of behavior, which we will use to our advantage. We will. Like, I'm very open about saying that. Mm-hmm. Facebook uses it to your disadvantage. It makes you hate things, makes you get angry and spiral down a rabbit hole of political nonsense or whatever the case may be, because they have targeted advertisements and they profit off of you staying on that app longer and pressing the angry button. I think in the congressional testimony, they were called out for more heavily weighting the angry reaction than the positive reaction. I'm here to say that if we have sentiment analysis in Channel 3, we will weight positivity and wholesomeness and connectiveness and all of those things more heavily than we will negativity. We will. Channel 3 will be the most curated, from a positive perspective, social platform of any of them.
Do you think that wins, though? And here's why. Listen, I think it's admirable. But there was somebody from the local news media, a substantial personality in here recently. Mm-hmm. And Bob Herzog. So it's going to be a positive conversation. About a year ago, 2021 and 22, he created a spinoff, which was called The Bright Side. Mm-hmm. And he created that because what we constantly hear, what we say, and what the public says is, why is there so much negativity in the news? And so he said, I agree, because he's an awesome dude. And so he said, all right, let's create it. And so he created, it was all about positivity. Nothing but positive stories. Mm-hmm. It didn't hit. We had a discussion about why it didn't hit. It's not just one thing, but it didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't catch on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a question that we may say we want it, but look at what we pay attention to.
Yeah.
We don't have to go to Facebook, but we do. We don't have to go places and give negative reviews, but we do.
Yeah, Bob and I have to consult on that topic.
I mean, he's an awesome guy. I mean,
I think-
he is. And so, yeah, what is that?
I think for when it comes to gaming, though, it's like some things are important and substantive, and even if they're dark or depressing or controversial, they need to be discussed. That doesn't mean they need to be discussed on your gaming social platform, right? So it's like its own separate thing, right? It's not the Channel 3 is not like your evening news. It's you go consume that if you want, and stay up to date and stay knowledgeable. But Channel 3 is where you're going to come to like hang out with your friends and connect in a positive way.
So you
get
don't
a break and all those things.
So you don't think you're going to have to worry about the previous owners to Twitter or Elon on should you restrict negativity? Because I could tell in the beginning of the conversation that there's some vitriol you have somewhat for how the traditional social media works, right? It's there.
When you run a social brand for 5 years, you see the worst of humanity. See the best of humanity too, both. But yeah.
Why did we pay attention to the worst the most, though? Why does it stick out?
I don't know. I mean, it inherently gets your attention.
Okay. So
But
maybe
it can be moderated for if you want.
Should it be?
Yeah. Maybe not on like a free speech, like open platform where it's like
Twitter or
say
something like
anything,
that.
right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to. This is not that, right?
Yeah.
It's not a community forum where you can debate hot topic issues. It's not that.
But you might put me on Channel 3 and how competitive I am, and somebody beats me. Man, I might have something to say, man.
I'm sure you do.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, and people do.
But you
And
don't
it's
think
gonna
it's
happen.
But you don't
That's
think it's
gonna
going to
happen.
Yeah, you don't think it's going to be as necessary. It's not.
Right.
It's not the inherent tone or the intent or why people are there. Or right.
Right. But why I was bringing this up is because I think we can incentivize the positivity as well. And I that's what I'm seeing when I talk about Magic and when I talk about the community and people coming together. Mm-hmm. This means something to people's lives. Like it's a positive perception changing thing in their lives because we are able to incentivize positivity in this strange way that goes against the grain of other platforms.
So, go ahead.
When you give somebody when you like somebody's post, when you one up somebody's post, they get XP for it. They get XP, you don't get XP. But we do have sometimes where we do these events where it's like one ups giving is what we got. And you go out there and every time you one up somebody's post, they get XP, but you get it too. So you just see this like flurry of activity and everybody's like all excited and watching their numbers go. It's great.
That sounds like toxic positivity.
Toxic positivity.
Sounds like someone used that term about a year and a half ago on me. And I become passionate. Some people that have like rage, I just have passion. That's what I'm going
Toxic
positive
passion?
with it. No. So they said toxic positivity, and I snapped and I went, what are you talking about? Toxic positivity. I guess if you're trying to act like something's positive when it's really not,
that's
that's the thing, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't want to make sure that doesn't flow over into the idea of like you should have a positive outlook.
Yeah.
You should take something bad happening and say, hey, let me try to turn this thing around.
Yeah.
Let me try to find the nuance in it.
That's right.
Let me try to find the silver lining.
That's right. I mean, not everything's, and I use the word positive just because it's easiest to, it's not.
Let's just say easy.
It's not very nuanced. But,
yeah. There's
not
hard
everything
things.
Not everything's positive. We had a person within the Channel 3 community who was actively involved in hosting our events week after week, became a friend of mine, and he passed away a few months ago. Just terrible. Like I have had friends in my life die in the past. This hit me harder than most things that have ever hit me hard in my life. And we put on a charity event to raise money for his family, and we did like basically virtual eulogies on stream before a Rocket League event. And we had a moment of silence, and 2 of the 3 cars came out and sat for a minute, like just emotionally impactful stuff. It's not like, oh, we can't do that because we got to stay positive. That's not what I mean. It's like about human connectedness.
Where did this sense of being a good person come from in you?
Oh, I don't know.
That's important to you?
I don't know. I mean, I think everybody has that to a certain extent.
Everyone?
It's buried deep down. It's very deep down.
So let's not talk about them. Let's talk about you. And
Yeah,
I think
sure.
a lot of people are uncomfortable talking about themselves, but I have that sense. I don't just bring it up. It's important to you. It's important to you to be a good person, to treat people well.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, I mean, one of my biggest pet peeves in life is when somebody is mean to somebody who doesn't deserve it. I don't know. So that just overrides everything that I have going on. And then when you blend it with something like social media, where you have the eyeballs of millions of people, it's like we can use this power for good.
You don't know where that comes from? Because I bet it's always been in you. I bet that's who you were as a kid.
I don't know. Maybe Mr. Rogers. I don't know. No, I'm not sure.
Do you feel that sense, though?
I try really hard. I'll say that.
You miss the target sometimes.
Everybody does.
I know I do, right? I'm not saying someone would gain that same sense from me,
Yeah.
but I do. It comes off you, and it's like, where does that come from?
Yeah.
Like,
I
you're
mean,
okay doing this for not making money right now, and
Yeah.
you're really passionate about it being a good, positive thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I believe in it more than anything. It's great. I mean, when you have that sort of like desire, that ambition, and then you start something like The Dad, and you're posting about, positive, active, involved dad stories, and then some idiot shows up in the comments and, blows it all up with some ignorant remark. It's like, we got to do better. And that just adds fuel to the fire of like, come on, let's fight against this thing.
Do you just put that comment on there like, we have to do better?
No, I hide it immediately.
Okay.
I hide it immediately.
You don't respond, you just hide it. That's your
right.
approach.
Yeah.
I'm
don't
not
respond.
engaging.
Don't respond. Yeah. Don't respond. The worst thing that could happen is if you have like a really good like story that's on brand, on mission, on vision for you as a dad brand, and somebody has like a hate-filled response, and they want to go to the comments and fire it away, and they go to the comments and they see like there's a lot of those already there. And then they post something like, my faith in humanity is restored. All of these people hate this as much as me. It's like, that's the worst thing that can happen.
That's awesome faith, dude. Like, that's really not what we're talking about with faith. We're trying to believe in something good here.
I should come back on the show. I'll bring examples of some of this stuff.
What?
But it's better if they go there and they're like, wow, no, people don't share this opinion. This is great. Oh, well, maybe I'm the idiot,
What matters to you right now? What matters?
Family, yeah. My kids, my wife, Channel 3.
Why should Channel 3 matter to me?
Well, if you're gonna be a competitive Pong player, if you're gonna go pro in Pong, you're gonna have to train.
I have to level up. Yeah. I can come on there and train.
That's right.
Okay, is that going to cause me carpal tunnel? Is that brain training?
Oh
or what
yeah,
is that?
you have a hurt wrist, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So is that going to be an issue?
It might be.
Do you think the training and the development in life? Do you think we need to work on more on our minds or more on specific improvements? What do you think is more important? What moves the needle more?
I think there's a lot of programs out there that tie gaming into personal development, which I think are good. Rocket League, I mentioned it before. It's the most sport-like video game out there.
You mentioned it a few times, and if Joe plays it, we want to know what it is. I don't know.
It's basically soccer with cars. So you'll drive a car around the field, and you'll hit into the ball and try to score goals like a soccer goal. But the cars can fly. So you go up the walls, and you fly off, and you do it. And it's got all these complicated mechanics physically, right? So you have this progression of skills as you learn various skills and you figure out how to do certain things. It becomes basically a totally different game depending on your skill level. So when I think about personal development in video games, that's it, because you're just like incrementally building your skills like we talked about earlier.
It's like life.
Yeah, leveling up, being able to apply those things and, put in the practice, put in the work, and then seeing the results for it. But then there's also two other teammates usually if you're playing 3v3. So the communication is there, the teamwork, the team plays, being able to, rally, being down 3-0, and both your teammates want to forfeit, and you're like, no, come on, let's go, like that kind of thing. So in terms of video games, personal development, it's big. It can help improve your mentality, your work ethic, practice, all those things.
Let's just say the 44-year-old Mark was a curmudgeon and is that guy. Not saying I am, but just I'm going to let you bring the heat on me because I know there's enough of these people out there. You got to get off the couch and go do something. You got to get out of the chair and quit playing the video games and go do something like when I was a kid.
We had a quest of the day. We have quests every day. It's like a question, basically, or a challenge or whatever. Yesterday's was, what would you say to somebody who says playing video games is a waste of time?
No, I didn't say that. We're talking about somebody else.
Oh, what would you say if some random,
let's go with that question.
Random 44-year-old curmudgeon says video games are a waste of time? Most of the responses were, that's fine. You have your thing, I have my thing. Like, that's cool. Don't even need to get into it.
But
I agree with that. It's like, do you watch a lot of TV?
No.
No? No. Do you watch a lot of sports?
No.
What do you do with your free time?
I work on making myself better.
All right.
I work at my job. I work at multiple things I have going on, whether it's personal development and finance.
You don't take any breaks? You don't do anything for yourself? You're going to burn out fast, man. I worry for you.
I appreciate that because another guy I've kind of become buddies on who's a big-time entrepreneur wrote a book, and in that book he talks about workaholics, right?
Yeah.
But this drives me. Driving to get better tomorrow than I was today so that I'm better to help other people improve their lives. That really does. I don't care how that seems or what. That's really a drive for me.
Yeah.
The better I can become, and I just know the more time that I spend on me, whatever that is. It could be playing games. It could be a development. But the more time I spend on self-improvement for me, if I'm leading others, the better I'm going to be to lead them, to help them achieve what. And maybe they end up being a gamer. Maybe they end up being some other type of entrepreneur. But I'm not sitting here and championing that my way is the right way.
Yeah.
But in asking the question that, hey, what do you do? Business for me is my hobby. It's my job. It's my work. It's my hobby. And I just have a really sense of obligation when you become an entrepreneur and you start a business. It's okay if you start a business of one for you to be very selfish. It's fine. You can have a selfish ideology. Can have selfish behind the purpose. Could be finances. But then the first moment that a guy like me hires one person, it cannot be about me anymore. I don't believe so.
Yeah.
And so with that, it drives me to put every extra free moment I have into making the thing I'm involved in better.
Yeah, that's cool. That's admirable.
Well, that's just that's what drives me.
For me, it's consistency, not intensity. So
what about both?
Burn
Burnout.
Because then you burn out.
Okay,
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not arguing that.
Like I want to be better every day.
Yeah.
Get a little better every day. I could get a lot better every day. And then a month from now I snap and I'm like, screw it, I'm not doing this at all.
Yep.
Here's a good metaphor. Like, I try to be a runner because it's good for my mental health. It helps me out mentally, clears my mind. I could go and say I'm going to run 6 miles every other day and then like a really long run on the weekend or whatever. I found that I get like too intense about it and then I burn out and then I hate it. I'm not going to do it anymore. I only recently found what works for me, 2 miles a day, every day, no exceptions. 2 miles isn't a lot. It's doable. If I'm not feeling it, I can still just get out there and do it. It's like, 17, 18 minutes of my time. That works for me. The consistency, not intensity.
But maybe you have the luxury now of that. Was there a time when it was more all in?
Yeah, but if I tried to run 10 miles a day, that's not going to work.
Not for you.
It's not going to work. That's just a metaphor, right?
I get
it's
it.
Like,
yeah, I get it.
It's like at the end of the day, like tonight, we have Fortnite, Fall Guys, Rocket League events. That is work, right? Work. But it's awesome. It's fun. I get to play in it and stuff. It's like taking a break at the end of a long day of coding. It's like, oh, yeah, all right. And I'll wake up tomorrow morning, fired up, 3 hours of like intense coding, take some meetings, chill in the evening with the fam. It's great.
So,
that's balance we talk about.
Yeah, that you're looking for, right?
Yep.
But maybe you're just the guy that has the skills of self-accountability, man. Because if we go back, you made a 5-year intentional plan with your wife and stuck to it without anyone else making you to. You two did that together.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why there's managers in this world. I didn't create the idea of them.
Yeah.
There's a reason. Not everyone's good at that thing you're talking about.
Yeah. Intrinsic versus extrinsic
right?
motivation.
Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
And so
that's true.
You're the guy that is actually good at consistency in that 2 miles.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, and this doesn't make them a bad person. This just isn't one of their skills or qualities.
Yeah, they find out what works for them. There probably are a lot of people that would metaphorically run 10 miles a day for a week and then, I don't know.
But what about the
lay on
person
the couch for 3 weeks and then do it again?
but what about the person that doesn't even run the 2 every day?
Yeah.
I mean, that's real. You're an entrepreneur. If you lead people and you've been in management, you realize that's the reality.
Yeah.
There are some of those.
Yeah. They should ask themselves if they're happy with how things are going or not. And if not, maybe try running 10 yards a day and then build up from there. Metaphorically speaking of.
I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'd give that similar advice to your kids when they get older, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So I tell them, like, man, self-discipline is everything. It's everything.
Yeah.
You got to be willing to do the thing that you don't want to do, even though nobody's forcing you to do it. That's what I say.
The things when nobody's watching, right?
Yeah. You're not required to do this, but you know it's better for you if you do it. Also, you really don't want to do it. Yeah, but you're gonna have to do that thing.
So what's the sense that you're getting of the next generations always catch grief? We did. I think you're always looking at a generation who acts like they're not working as hard as us, or they don't have it together. What are they doing?
Yeah.
What do you see from being a professor? What do you see in the generation coming up? What do you see?
It's a range of everything. It always is. I saw a post on social recently. It was like they went back through like the historical texts and took quotes of things people said about the younger generation.
Feels the same.
It's all the same crap. It'd be like 1200 AD, and they'd be like, kids these days, they got no morals, and blah, 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 they're lazy and entitled. It's like all the same stuff.
I'm self-aware that I think we do that. But that's what I'm wondering is, like, give me some faith in the humanity that's going to be pushing our wheelchairs.
Yeah. Innovative. I think innovative problem solver. I mean, it's always a range. There's always a small selection of the people that are exceptional. I think that's the case for this next generation too. Teaching is interesting because when you say you're going to become a teacher, you sort of like have this vision in your head of like all these kids coming in the class and they all like are really excited to be there and they're like, teach me what you know. There's like 2 kids in the class that are like that, right?
Do they sit at the front of the class?
I teach virtually. So virtually, yes.
So you could pick out the kids who would sit at the front of the class.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what makes it all worth it. The ones that are genuinely excited to be there and they want to know, they're into the topic.
So what do we do for the ones who don't feel that way?
They might be in the wrong class. That might not be their thing, right? So I would encourage them to get out there and try other things and find out what their thing is. I started in architecture. I was at UC, I was at DAP, and I was in architecture. I left that after 1 semester. Like, this is not for me. It was kind of cool, but it was intense. I'm like, if I'm not completely passionate and all in on this, this is not it. This is not it for me. So I left that and I went to IT because it was convenient, but it still wasn't really it for me, right? Mm-hmm. And I just continued trying new things until I found the thing that was.
Kept going.
Yeah.
I think it is important when we're younger to try a bunch of things because it's less risky.
Yeah.
Whether we appreciate it or like it or we want to agree, the reality is the older we get in life, the more serious things get.
Yeah.
Because we don't have as long to correct them. That's my belief. I don't have as long to say I can recover and hit the reset button and still have the same outcome.
Generally, I think that's true. I'm kind of the exception to that because I did like the safe thing first and had this like safe corporate gig that I didn't really love so much, and now I'm doing the more risky thing now because I've prepped for it, which is kind of weird.
Put yourself in a spot where you could, though.
Yeah.
Right? You
yeah.
weren't, but you were intentional.
Yeah.
That goes back to a 5-year plan.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't find yourself wake up one day and be, damn. You woke up one day and said, we want a different life. Let's work towards it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But you did try things. And what set my brain off to that was you thought you wanted to be an architect for whatever reason. One semester, you're like, I don't want to.
Yep.
If you do that in jobs as an adult, give it 3 months, give it 6 months, there's more I believe there's more consequences.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, give us a parting shot here from Joel Willis, and I don't know, man. What's happening in life? We've talked about a lot of stuff, but give us the parting shot on. I have a Bible in front of me about dad law. You've been an editor or editor in chief or a part of Scary Mommy. You have worked at GE. You were a wannabe architect and didn't do that. You're a dad. You have an awesome wife. You're working a job and started an entrepreneurial venture where you're not getting paid and you smile and love it, who gets to go to Cancun. You're wearing a cool, ball cap today that says Channel 3 and you have some gray hairs underneath it. You're wearing a black wedding ring, right? Or graphite or whatever that is, right? So you're living the life. But all those things, you have some perspective. So give us the parting shot. Give me the parting shot. Like, this guy needs to hear this.
I don't know about you. You got a wonderful life as well, Mark. You got your crap together. You know what's going on. But I'll speak to I'll speak to younger me, who was disillusioned and felt like everybody hates their job. This is how work is. This is it. I really felt that way. I was like, I always said, I don't know if I'm depressed because I hate my job or if I hate my job because I'm depressed. So if anybody out there feels that way, there's creative fulfillment for you. It's out there. It's somewhere. Just keep looking. Keep trying. Keep trying. Make your own 5-year plan. Do your own. Figure out what you want to do when you grow up and make it happen. There's something out there for everybody, I think.
All right. I'm not going to provide any more context to that. If that's what you're leaving us partying on, hey, you finished the water.
Whew. It's good water. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I don't know. They gave it to. If it was me, I wouldn't have given you any. Like, I'm going to make this guy sweat, man.
You got a whole corner full of bourbon over there.
You know what's funny? And when I say I don't drink, like twice a year. But we're in Kentucky, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. The bourbon barrels and the whole thing. And
right. We're on the trail. This is the bourbon trail.
Yeah, it extended up here.
Yeah.
New Riff, that the distillery that opened, they've been going at it for a decade or more. They extended the True Bourbon Trail. I don't think the traditional folks, it's kind of how life goes, right? Mm-hmm. The people that have the system that's just working for them, don't come in here and mess with my system.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You found that.
Don't extend the trail.
Yeah, don't do that. You're going to take attention away from us. And that's a scarcity mindset, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Man, there's a lot of people that can win, not just one of us.
That's right. There's enough out there for everyone.
Yeah. And I hope you become the Google of gaming, man.
Thanks, dude.
Channel 3. So is it channel3.gg, you said?
Channel3.gg. That's where you can go. Yep. Look us up.
Do all the gamers know .gg? Because I didn't know .gg.
Yeah, .gg is like a gaming domain because a good game. After you win, you'd say GG. Means good game, good game. After you lose, after you get crushed, when you're raging and you want to say something mean, no, you say GG. That's it. Yep.
No shit.
Yeah, I mean it's like T-ball. When you're done with T-ball and you lose, you good game. Same deal.
So you're trying to teach us good values. Okay.
That's right. GG's.
Right.
And that's what I'll say to Joey B when I beat him in Rocket League.
What do you think he's going to say back?
I think he'd say it back. I think he'd say GG back. He would.
Okay. All right. I guess that's what they're giving us out of Athens, man. I guess that's what goes on. Central Ohio's bringing us GG. Hey, man, I really appreciate you coming in. I mean,
of course.
This is scratching the surface on gaming and what's happening out here, and we touched on the entrepreneurial journey. A lot of times it starts with being an employee. It did for me.
Mm-hmm. That's
where you learn some of the skills. There's good things in mentors. We didn't touch on if you had any mentors, or was there someone that you really looked up to that you really learned from?
Oh, yeah. I mean, sure. Surrounded by them. I mean, from some spider, the boss is there, mentors, for sure. I mean, I'm even here today because Josh Sneed recommended me. Josh Sneed and I worked together on The Dad. Cincy Shirts does our merch, so he's another one. I listened to his episode intently.
What'd you think of it?
It was amazing. It was so good. I texted him right away. I'm like, there were a lot of stories in there I didn't know. I was inspired, and I've known Josh for a long time, so it's great. Mentors are all around us.
Yeah, I think, but maybe we have to look for them though.
Yeah.
Right? You have to look for the good people around you to recognize, like, wow, let me listen to them. And if you listened intently, what's awesome is that's today as the adult with the accomplishments that you've had, and you're still listening intently. You're still learning.
Oh, yeah.
And growing.
Yeah. Yeah. More than ever. More than ever. Got a lot to learn.
Yeah. So what is, as we wrap this, where do you go to learn? Like, what's the best, where do you learn from? I know we could say everywhere, but is there like specific intentional places? Is it reading a book?
Yeah, I read constantly. I'm always reading 2 books. One fiction, one nonfiction.
So you're a fiction guy. You love some fiction.
Fiction, nonfiction, both. I read nonfiction first, and then I read the fiction, and then I go to sleep. So yeah, books for sure.
So you read 2 books in the same day?
Yeah. It's not like at the same time like this. But
But it seems like your brain might be possible. You might be capable of that.
Oh, well, thank you.
No, you really do that. You'll read. You'll process through a part of 2 separate books in the same evening.
Yeah. Before bed, that's my routine. I read the nonfiction book. I read like chapter 2. Right now, I'm reading How I Built This by Guy Raz, which I think you'd appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
It's another great entrepreneurial podcast. Mm-hmm. It's my second favorite entrepreneurial podcast behind The Necessary Entrepreneur.
You're a salesperson. You're so good.
So
man.
I'll read that for 2 chapters, and I'll read fiction for chapter 2, whatever, and then I go to sleep. Yeah. So I learn from books for sure. The other maybe surprising source of where I learn from is from my kids. They'll teach you something every day.
What?
Oh, I don't know. They teach you perspective. They'll teach you to see things through a different lens. They'll also teach you like. You want to learn leadership. It's through parenting a kid who's annoyed after the end of a long day, which happened to be, built specifically for their enjoyment.
The world definitely revolves around them, right?
That's right.
They don't really realize there's anybody else in this world except you're here to serve me.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think we were all that way.
Yeah.
And then somehow they evolved to this form that Joel is now.
Yeah.
What? So I wouldn't bring it up, but what would your wife say about you? So you've invoked her 2 or 3 times about how awesome she is.
She's great. Man.
What would she say about you?
God, he's the worst. No, I'm just kidding. You have to have her on. I can't speak for her. We should text her and ask her.
You can't give me one thing?
She says many nice things about me. I feel too honored to have to repeat them. No, she's impressed that I'm able to do lots of different types of things. And I would agree with that. That's probably my skill. I'm not exceptional at any one thing, but I'm above average at an above average amount of things. And then you combine them together and it's decent.
It's significant.
Yeah, that's what she would say.
Boy, how important is mutual respect in life?
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think if you can have that, boy, you can work with that person.
Yeah.
You can respect differences.
Yeah, it's got to be that's the best way to create a team.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, who knows? You'll have a huge team if this becomes the thing. If Channel 3 becomes the Google of gaming, there's going to be a big team. Are you going to create millionaires? Are you going to create them? And
I hope so.
can we buy stock in this thing?
Not yet, but yeah, eventually. Yeah, no, I mean, I will say this: if there's anyone in the Cincinnati area who's big into gaming, is interested in the gaming space, hit me up. I'd love to work with you.
Should they go to your social, or should they just go to channel3.gg?
Yeah, you can email me, joel@channel3.gg. Look me up on social, Joel Willis, or the Joel Willis. I'm on most of the platforms, but the most important one is Channel 3. I'm on there. Yeah, just hit me up.
The guys, UC in Miami believed in him, that he has something to pass on to students. And students' parents are paying the money, and they're signing up for his class, even if it's virtually. Please tell me there's more than 2 people in your last class.
Oh, there's a lot. There's like 20, 30 kids.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, guys, he's impressive. Look him up. No, but, man, it was awesome. I think there's There's some good stuff in there. You're probably a little too humble for what's going on in your brain, the intelligence and the stuff going on up there.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Your kids, I bet you are a hell of a fun dad, dude. I bet you are.
Dude, we have a good time. Daughter and I went to the Taylor Swift concert a couple weeks ago. Fantastic.
Swifty dad.
That's right.
A Swifty dad.
That's right.
What was that
Proud.
like? What was that like?
Impressive. It was amazing. I was so happy for our city. I am a big Taylor Swift fan, but even if you're not, if you go to that show, it's like, wow, this is a lot. Like the breadth of the catalog of her music, just all of the production, everything. It was really amazing. And during one of her big songs, fireworks were going off from the Reds had just won a game. I'm like, I was proud of our city. It was cool.
Did you take anything away from an entrepreneur? I tend to go to those places and my brain just fires. And I look around at the amazement, like, man, I understand. Like, there's a lot that has to come together here.
Yeah.
Someone is leading an entire huge group of people behind the scenes here, pulling this off.
Yeah.
So we can just show up. I don't know if that arrived in your head, or I just think about that. Like, what had to happen?
I do all the time. I think about that. Yeah. I mean, it was amazing, and credit to her. I'm sure that, like, obviously she's the driving force behind all of it, and she started from somewhere and built up to this level. Huge respect. But I mean,
oh, there we go. That's so good. Look at him over here, huh? They think we're that special.
we got a soundboard.
Yeah, we
Chime
do.
in.
It's so good what he's doing. How do we? In this spot, this is just what happens with me sometimes. But how do we, in a competitive, market-driven environment? I am in real estate. We are of content on a podcast. You are for Channel 3. You were at the Dad and creating this book. How do we really know to put something out good that's going to win in this competitive market environment? How?
I am probably not the person to ask that to, because I've skewed very much towards the mentality of just get it out there and iterate. Very much. Like, I'm like the extreme end of that.
I am too.
I'm coding in production sometimes on Channel 3, man, and I think I caught some flack early on when we first started of people signing in like, this is it? This is confusing. I don't see the value of this, and really? But you got to start somewhere, and I way prefer to get stuff out there and iterate. Very much. So
if you wait and look for how,
yeah,
you're going to have a rough go. You're probably not even going to get started.
Yeah. And even like the book, right? Like I would be that way for the book too. I think Allie is less like that, so we were a great partnership on the book and on Channel 3. So very helpful when you get to that stage of having the counterweight to that. But yeah.
Surround yourself with great people.
Yep.
All right, man.
Sure.
That's why we're inviting the good people in here, man.
I had a great time. Thanks for having me.
Now, this is awesome.
Appreciate it.
And these guys will they always make me look better than I am. Since he's already at an elevated level, they might give you that nice blonde hair that you had when you
put some blonde tips on there.
They'll do it, man. They might even take like one of Josh's hats and it won't say Channel 3 anymore. It'll say Sensi shirts on it or something.
This is Josh's hat. Sensi Shirts makes our hats.
They're good stuff. So thanks, man. Have a great rest of August. And I'm not a gamer, but I'll go and check it out, y'all. I'll go see what's up. Some of my extra time that I have.
Likewise. Bring it on. Let's
All right,
do
man.
it.
Appreciate you.
Cool.
Thanks
GGs.
for coming in. Okay.
See ya.
Yep.